everyone. In this video, we're going to talk through the third foundational pillar of the Revival Health platform. And this is effectively a motivational rationale. And I refer to this pillar as reviving the curve. And what that is, it's a framework, it's a provocation inviting you to rethink how you think about the aging process, and particularly how our health and vitality should evolve over the course of our entire life. All right, so let's jump right into it. To step through this rationale, I'm going to introduce a simple framework. All right, so you've got two axes. The horizontal axis, that's simply your age over the course of your life. And the vertical axis, well, that measures your health and vitality, which can range from being poor to average all the way up to excellent. And the first thing I need to do is provide a sharp and clear objective of what I mean by health and vitality. So when I say health and vitality, I'm referring to having no chronic diseases, suffering from no chronic pain or discomfort. You should be able to do everything that you enjoy doing. Obviously, that might be age adjusted. You're energized with a sense of purpose, and overall, you have a positive outlook on life. Now, to me, that seems like a reasonable set of objectives to have over the entire course of your life. But that's actually not what we're taught. And now I want to step through what I call the traditional view of aging. This view I'm going to represent on the chart with this blue line. And now let's step through the narrative because it goes more or less like this. After we're born as babies, as young kids, our immune system, it's still developing. So we suffer from a lot of coughs and colds. We might get the measles. But overall, obviously, we're pretty healthy and fit. Then in our teen years, and particularly in our 20s, I mean, those are our peak years, right? We're in our top physical shape. We're super sharp mentally. But then a couple years on either side of 30, we notice that it takes a little bit longer to recover from our workout at the gym. If we bang our knee, maybe the pain lasts a couple more days than it used to. And this is also when we're getting our butts kicked by life, trying to build a career, raising a family. So it's just inevitable that we're going to let things slide a little bit, right? But it's just about, next month we're going to get back in the gym, or next month we're going to get our diet sorted out, and then we'll be right back at our tip-top shape, just as we were back in college, right? So, and this goes on maybe, sort of for the 30s and our 40s. But then around 50, that's when things really start to take a turn for the worse. I mean, after all, we're just getting old, right? So we start to suffer from chronic diseases. Maybe at some point we have a more serious health event, and then things really take a slide. And not too long after that, we die, right? Now, that's a pretty depressing view in terms of how the aging process should be. But that is the traditional view of aging. That's what we're taught. And that's how modern medicine views the aging process. So that's the traditional view. Now let's bring in the red curve. Now the red curve simply represents the traditional view of aging adjusted by modern medicine. What does modern medicine do? It pushes the curve out to the right, which means we're living longer, but notice that our health and vitality doesn't actually improve significantly. Now why is that? Because what modern medicine does is it manages our chronic diseases as opposed to curing those diseases. And so we end up living longer, but we live longer sick. And that's actually referred to as a period of morbidity, which I'll shade in here on the chart. Now, we've really backed ourselves into a corner here because it's this period of morbidity or living sick, where modern medicine makes all of its money with its pills and its procedures that it uses to keep us alive during this period. And it's really amazing. I mean, I was shocked by the data, but it's like $1 in $6 in the US is already spent on healthcare, and 1 in 8 people actually work within the healthcare industry, right? So we've really backed ourselves into a corner here because we've actually now created a situation where the livelihood of a lot of people depends on us being sick, which is obviously not the ideal situation, right? So that's the red curve. we clearly need a different curve, right? And that's where the green curve comes in. Now, the green curve for me, my provocation is that this is the path intended by nature, which is this idea that you actually maintain your health and vitality over the entire course of your life. And only at the very end does it drop off quite quickly and you die, right? Ideally, the dream is you just die in your sleep, right? So now I always I talk about lions or zebras or other animals in nature because when we look at them, we don't know how old they are, right? Because no matter how old they are, they maintain their health and their vitality pretty much over the entire course of their lives. And that's how it should be for us. Now, does that mean we're not going to age? Of course not. Aging is unfortunately unavoidable. And because we live longer than most animals, there's unavoidable stuff. We're going to get the white hair. Gravity, unfortunately, is going to take its toll on our bodies in a bunch of places we'd rather it didn't. That's aging. But my argument is that the chronic diseases that force us down these blue and these red curves, they're not caused by aging. Now, modern medicine, they've bought into this idea, well, it's just a part of aging. No. My argument is that first and foremost, what causes these conditions are the changes that we've made to our lifestyle in terms of our eating patterns, our movement patterns, our sleeping patterns, and just in general how we live our lives these days. So if we want to get back up to the green curve, forget the pills and procedures. What you need to do is change your lifestyle to provide your body with the conditions it needs so that it can self-regulate and move back up to the green curve. And that's essentially what the Revival Health platform is all about. Now, the good news is that no matter how far down you are on the blue curve or the red curve, in most cases, as long as you provide your body with the correct conditions, it can actually move relatively quickly back up to the green curve. I mean, now if you've got some really advanced phases of a disease and there's been permanent damage, then okay, there's a limitation to how much, but really, no matter how far down, the body, it's amazing. So as soon as you give it the conditions it needs, it'll move back up to the green curve. Now, this is not a question of, it doesn't take days or weeks. This takes a few months or years, but you can relatively quickly move back up to this green curve, right? So that's the aspiration. And what I always say is forget the blue pill, forget the red pill, take the green pill. Cool. So let's take a step back and let's actually reflect a little bit on this framework. Now, this framework for me, I think it's super powerful. I didn't come up with it. It's out there. Other people call it squaring the curve. Within the context of my health platform, I call it reviving the curve. But it's this whole idea of what do we do, to feel great today, but also what do we need to do to make sure that we stay on this green curve our entire lives. And the motivation to do that, that's going to vary significantly, right? Because it's going to depend on how old you are. It's going to depend on your current state of health. It's going to depend on what your aspirations and your objectives are in life and what it is that motivates you individually. Now, I can share with you what my motivation is at this point. So I'm just past 50. And actually 50 is when, you in theory start sliding down the blue and the red curve. So I definitely want to avoid the slide. So that's first and foremost. But my motivation, besides feeling great today, is that, look, I expect to live to 100, right? And, I'm quite fortunate, I think, in terms of my genetic lottery because I've got lots of relatives in my family that have lived well into their 90s and some even reaching 100. So I expect to live to 100. I want to ride my bike into my 80s or beyond. I mean, this is something that just provides me with way too much pleasure and joy for me to want to give up anytime soon. I want to be around for a long time to torment my kids. And if I want to be able to torment them, right, I can't just be there. I have to be like strong and fit to really just annoy them as much as possible. And then finally, there's some vanity. Obviously, there's always some vanity. I want to look good, with the obvious caveat for an old guy, right? So those are my motivations. And I think, each person will obviously think through and discover their own motivations. But this framework, that wraps up this third foundational pillar. But this just underlies everything that I'm doing, which is, guys, this needs to be our aspiration. We need to be strong and fit and vigorous right through until the very end. And then hopefully just we go to sleep one night and we don't wake up the next. So great. Give me the formula, right? Okay, I will. Check out my next video in this series that introduces and explains the Revival Health platform. In that, I step through the specific recommendations in terms of how to adjust your routine to provide your body with the conditions it needs to self-regulate and move back up to and then stay on the green curve for your entire life. All right, so check that out. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the provocations, and have a great rest of your day. Cheers.